All right, we're off to a good start. Welcome. What is
Great
up?
job, production crew.
Welcome to This Week in the Mixer, episode 2.26. We're going to go with that. Week 11 wrap up, week 12 preview, and, the associated sub-quality smack talk. Anything on your mind before we jump into this week's matchups?
Not a whole lot. It's just going to be kind of a rough week, but, we'll see how it goes.
Oh, yeah, your potential winless or lossless
Undefeated season.
winning streak is on the line. Got some people on bye. We'll get into that with the matchups for this week. But let's start things off by going over what happened last week. Let me get to it. We'll start with Jake versus Zach first. Really one-sided affair here. So Jake got 33 out of Garoppolo, 26 out of Michael Thomas, who I think is the wide receiver one now. Drew Brees got him 23.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, on the other hand, surprisingly disappointing day. Only put up 85, one of the lower totals for the season. He got 18 out of Zeke, 17 out of Mark Andrews, 17 out of DJ Moore. What happened to Zach's team, Jeff?
Deshaun Watson happened. When your QB gets 5 points, it's always tough. Also, James Conner in his offensive player spot only got him 2. And then he just had, a couple down days. Tyler Boyd, only 1 catch, right? McLaurin gets 9. Defense gets 4, right? But those were the big ones. Deshaun and James Conner only getting, 7 points combined. I don't know, even if they get their averages, he probably still loses by 20, but it's way more respectable.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of a rough day. Also, Jake had a good day. Garoppolo throwing for 404 touchdowns. Normally it takes him 2 games to get to 400 yards. He got it in 1 last week.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas just continuing that tear that he's on.
Yeah. One of not only the wide receiver one, some people do it in boom games, like Mike Evans. He'll have a big game. He'll score like 40, and then the next week he'll score 5. Right. Michael Evans is what you want. He's that guy who, he can put up those 40-point games, but his off games he puts up like 15.
Yeah, he's really had one game over 30, which was a 42-point game.
Yeah.
But his lowest score of the year is 16. He's between 16 and 29 every week.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what you want. So Jake's reaping the rewards with that pick. Zach gonna have to cash in some of his points that he accumulated earlier in the season. He's still, looking good for a playoff spot, but a disappointing day for Zach. Jake gets the must-needed win, up to 6-5. Next up, we have Mason versus Anthony. Battle of Indiana. What's the state motto in Indiana? Do we know that? What? No. Nobody knows that.
Do they even have a state motto?
Indiana. I just know everything. Everything I know about Indiana is from going there in the summer to buy fireworks because they weren't legal in Ohio, but they were legal in Indiana. I know how to get to Indianapolis Airport. I know, they have the Indy 500. There's a lot of Waffle Houses.
Is Lewis Hamilton going to be in the Indy 500 ever?
No, he knocked the Indy 500. He said it's not real racing or it's easy because Fernando Alonso almost won the one that he was in. Speaking of which, there may or may not be a Lewis Hamilton sex tape on Pornhub. Definitely don't go look it up if
it's anything like the way he drives, it's the greatest thing you'll ever see.
Anywho, pro tip for you guys. But yeah, I don't know their state motto. I know, Stranger Things is fictionally set there, but even I think Stranger Things doesn't want to be there because I think it's like recorded in North Carolina or something. But anyway, that's too much about Indiana. Battle of Indiana. So for Mason, he needed the win to stay in contention for that first round bye. He got 20 out of Marvin Jones, 19 out of Matt Ryan, 16 out of Joe Mixon. Anthony, one of his more disappointing outputs of the year, got 35 out of Dak, 16 out of Mahomes, 13 out of Kenyon Drake, but only managed 92 points. Mason takes this one 101 to 92. Kind of a, this matchup didn't really live up to the hype. I guess it was close. Mason gets the win, but what else do you see from this one?
Well,
Jeff?
Anthony joins the sub 100 club, right? A few of us have gotten in there this year.
Mm-hmm.
It happens, right? We have bad weeks at times.
Yeah.
But this was a big game because Anthony could have pretty much locked up the division.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been officially, but
qualified for the third place game.
But I think he could have pretty much locked it up, and losing this game puts him and Mason same record with 2 weeks to go. So now it's really just like who can win the last 2 weeks between those two. Anthony clearly has the points lead, probably not losing that on Mason. But overall, like, a pretty important matchup when it comes to playoff seeding.
Do you know what the points difference is?
Yeah, it's like over 100. It's 1458 to 1593. It's like 135 or so.
Yeah, but all it takes is, there's 2 weeks left, so Mason could easily take the division by record. So
yeah,
it leaves. It's unlike you, who has it locked up. Both Mason and Anthony, even though they pretty much have a playoff spot all but guaranteed. I guess they probably do by record, but that first round bye is super valuable. So they'll have something to play for, unlike you, who's checked out and is just waiting for
definitely not checked out
those December games. Next up, speaking of checking out, your score checked out of this matchup pretty quickly. So we're gonna go over Jeff versus Jess. You got 35 out of Josh Allen, 31 out of McCaffrey, 27 out of Kyler Murray. You put up 194. Did everybody else score over 20?
Dalvin was at 16, Godwin was at 13, Michael Gallup, Keenan Allen, 24-21. The Jets defense got me 10.
Keenan Allen got 21 points?
Yeah, when you go 871 and a touchdown. San Francisco 49er tight end Ross Dwelly with the 17-point game.
Right. You did play him.
4 catches, 14 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And according to Matt, should have had another touchdown.
Broken clock is right twice a day. So you got lucky with that tight end, I would say.
Yeah, to be honest, like I told Matt this the other day, the only reason I picked up Dwelly was because of the way ESPN's been doing their IR this year and how they've been like deciding whether people are in or out. So like last week, Schefter, Friday night, I'm pretty sure reported that Kittle wasn't playing. But it wasn't until Sunday morning that you could put him on the IR.
Yeah, I think they have to wait until the official team things are submitted.
Yeah, but like it's kind of frustrating, like when you see that someone's not playing and then it's not, you can't really do anything about it. So I dropped, I forget who, but I dropped someone for Dwelly because I figured, let me just get whoever's in that 49er Cardinal game. If Kittle happened to play, since he wasn't ruled out yet, then great, I throw him in, but it just guaranteed I had someone.
You're like, I don't need wins. It doesn't matter at this point. Might as well play this fucker and get 17 points.
I do feel bad for Jess. Like, Jess had a great week. She hit 143, which probably beats most everyone else in the league, except for Sean.
Yeah.
So, like, good week. But she was a little unlucky in the sense of she had Russ and Aaron Rodgers on the bench last week due to buys. So I got to kind of, like, sneak through there.
She got 35 out of John Brown, 24 out of Diggs, 22 out of Kelsey. So pretty good day for Jess. Like you said, 143, but she loses. However, gets some much needed points to stay in, right in that contention for that last playoff spot. We'll move on. So next we have Danny versus Matt. Danny got 21 out of Devontae Parker, who somehow, despite himself, remains relevant. Le'Veon Bell got 16. Phil, pour one out for Phillip. Really sad. We'll talk more about him later, but he got 15 points. Matt, he got 28, a nice pickup, right? He picked up Darnold. I know he was on waivers. I considered dropping Goff for him. So.
Yeah, he picked him up Sunday, November 17th.
Right before the game. Okay, so he picked up Darnold, got 28. New Orleans D got him 18. Brissett 16. Not pretty, but Matt avoids going under 100 for 3 straight weeks and wins 109 to 105. What else do you see from this?
Big win for Matt, keeps him in contention to getting into the playoffs based on record, and not having to rely on points. Also, this is just another week where Danny chose the wrong quarterback. I feel like we've talked about this 3 or 4 weeks this year, where, Danny has 3 QBs on his team. He's got Brady, Rivers, and Mayfield. And it seems like every time he's in a close game, he loses because he sat the wrong quarterback.
Sounds familiar, but I do it with my wide receiver 3 spot.
Yeah, I mean, if Danny had played Baker over either Phillip or Tom Brady, he wins the week.
Yeah, he's definitely not thinking about that at all.
Right, exactly, because it's Danny.
GG's Danny. Better luck next week. Next up, we have me and the simulation. So, I mean, really nice of Sean to lay low, to not put up big points, to give me some hope, and then going into Monday Night Football, I had a 40-point hole, but I had Eckler and Tyreek, who are averaging about 20 points each per game. So I have a shot, right? I'm driving home 5 minutes into the game. Tyreek Hill's on the sideline getting checked. Hamstring, something. Apparently he's going to be all right. I end up losing by 20. Tyreek Hill's averaging 19.5 points per game that he's played in. So, what do you think? Is it a coincidence that one of my best players goes down when I need him, when I'm playing a guy who may or may not control the universe we live in?
So, as a conspiracy theory fan, I don't believe this is coincidence at all.
Yeah.
I believe Sean and his handlers set this up. Because this week also got Sean back into the playoff race, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put him into 6th, having a big week like that.
Yeah.
The win, although it's always nice to get a win, doesn't really help. A win doesn't help either of you at this point. You guys are pretty much out.
It helps make me feel pain, if that's something that the simulation overlords enjoy, which, I mean, look at the state of the world. They clearly probably do.
Yeah, exactly. But, like teasing you like that with Eckler and, Tyreek going Monday night and then pulling Tyreek early in the game.
Yeah.
And still letting Eckler get his 21 points. That's just, he's toying with you right now.
It's just, I hold Sean in high regard. I think he has some of the, I mean, he's a lawyer. He should have one of the highest thresholds of integrity in the mixer. I mean, that's a pretty low bar, but
I think he does in the sense of like keeping the sim running.
Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying. His loyalties are to Big Sim. It's not to, our league or any other, common courtesies.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I'm just disappointed. Sean, well, you didn't have to stoop to that, man. You could have set it up some other way so it was less heartbreaking. But we all got to get our jolly somehow.
I mean, here's the thing, though, is like you're the only one calling him out.
Yeah.
So he's got to do it to you.
Yeah, it's a good point. The whistleblowers always get punished. So maybe I should go into hiding.
Should have been anonymous like the White House one.
Yeah. Hashtag relevant. All right. The points don't matter. Lamar Jackson, I mean, some guys on my team blew up. Calvin Ridley did me in, basically. He got 29 points out of nowhere. So
yeah,
that's it. I dropped 20 points in the point standings to Sean. Sean beats me 153 to 33. That's week 11. Let's take a quick look at the standings. So you're on top. Anthony's in second. Mason's third. Zach, not technically fourth because I believe his record's not that great. So who would be the 4 seed?
It would
Jake.
be Jake at the moment.
Jake would be the 4 seed. And then
Then it would be Matt and Jess.
Then it goes to points.
Oh, yeah,
The bottom two are points. So then it would go to Zach.
And then Sean.
And then Sean. Sean has 1,377 points. Jess has 1,354. What is that? 23-point difference.
Mm-hmm.
I have 1,348, which is a 29-point difference. Matt has 1,333, so I mean he's 44 points off.
Yep.
And then Danny is 77 points off. And already sending out GGs for week 12 and 13.
Completely doable for any one of those teams to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even Danny can have a week where he scores like 180, 190. I'm not saying that it's likely, or even has a 20% chance, but it could happen.
Look, I mean, last year going into the last week of the season in the little shit bowl down at the bottom, Danny was, I think, like 70 points in last place.
Yeah.
And outscored Zach enough to make it up.
More drama to come. Speaking of drama to come, I wanted to talk about a few things before we look into next week. First off, I feel like we need a thoughts and prayers section because there's been a lot of losses, a lot of emotional heartbreak with some roster decisions this season. We saw Anthony drop Mitch. Matt dropped Minshew. And I feel like there were some others. But this week, maybe this will be the in memoriam section. Thoughts and prayers, whatever, T's and P's. In memoriam, T's and P's. We'll work on the name. But this week, Mason dropped Matthew Stafford, one of his boys, long time, so pour one out. And not only did Matt drop Minshew earlier this season, he dropped Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was the 2018 Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, that's rough. Matt's got no heart, clearly.
Yeah, as somebody who's in his second marriage, you just got married. I need some loyalty around to make me believe in like a man and his QB1. That's love. I mean, yeah. I got Lamar Jackson. I'm committed to him for life. Good luck getting him. But seeing these other people around you, just it's tough. They don't try. They just don't try hard enough to make it work anymore. Maybe the boomers were right. Moving on, we wanted to talk about. We're wrapping up. We're getting towards the
end of the season.
Yeah, we're in the final third. We can see the finish line. The mixer. It's good. It's great. It's not fucking perfect. That's for sure. There are ways to make this league better. I wanted to talk about ways to make the league better. Do you have any thoughts before I...
Yeah, I have a couple
may or may not rant.
Couple quick hits, okay? So one that I brought up, I believe it was like after my first or second year in the league, which would be 3 or 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
Roster transaction limits.
Yep.
I don't believe there should be any. Limiting teams to 35. That's 2 a week, roughly. I just feel, especially towards the end of the season, it really benefits the better teams or the deeper teams and hurts teams that are trying to make moves and trying to come back. Right? Like, you and Danny at the moment have 3 roster moves left between the two of you.
Yeah. For
the end of the regular season and the Made Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? So, that's going to be tough how you guys navigate that. I had to do it a couple years ago. Luckily, I think when I did it, I was in a higher position. So I wasn't worried about like being in the Made Bowl, but it sucks, right?
Yeah. And I know the rationale for that in the past has been the draft should have a great like a real importance. You draft well, you should be rewarded. But I mean, it's kind of implied if you draft well, you have good players, so you're rewarded by having those good players. Right. It's kind of like double punishment. Whereas somebody who maybe has some holes to plug or has injuries or just has to use other strategies, get more creative, it's kind of it's limiting.
Exactly. And even if we don't like get rid of it, just raise it to like 45 or something, right? Like make it like 3 transactions a week. That way if someone needs to really like go crazy at the end of the year, they can.
Yeah.
You know, because that's when a lot of injuries tend to happen anyway.
And people aren't just picking people up to fuck other people over. You know what I mean? Like, we have, you know, quarterbacks are scarce. There's only like maybe 3 or 4 starters on waivers at any point. If you're up against somebody, that doesn't have a spot, you could. But I mean, it's a super flex. It's not a 2 quarterback, so it's not like you don't have options. But I don't know, with especially with Fab, we have there is a penalty for picking people up, especially good players. You got to spend more money.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm guilty. I'm glad somebody freaking pointed it out. I thought when we went to Fab, we didn't have transaction limits, but
nope.
I mean, I'm sure it was mentioned. It's hand up my part. I'm not looking at the settings. I guess my team is pretty much set. But yeah, I agree with you. I was going to bring that up.
The other one that I have is position limits.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of really no position limits. I just like if you want to have 1 quarterback and 10 running backs, 10 receivers, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Right. You can still only play 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Right. But that's just, I know that was brought up to me. I'll give Matt credit for that. I thought about that one for a while, but Matt mentioned when we were talking about him dropping Gardner, the only reason he dropped Gardner is because he had we have the position limit of 3 QBs.
Yeah.
And he had 2, didn't want to drop one of them, even though they were on a bye, right?
Yeah.
But he still needed to pick another one up, so he had to get rid of one.
Yeah.
That's tougher because we do start 2 QBs, so with 10 teams, you're looking at 20 already.
Yeah.
If everyone carries 3, which not everyone does, but then you're looking at 30. If you take a position limit off that, or even if you make it 4, you're looking at potentially 40 quarterbacks on rosters.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do agree with you with one caveat. I think the quarterback limit should be, you could bump it up to 4.
Yeah,
but,
I'm okay with the QB limit of 3, but like just taking off the running back and receiver one.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I'm fine with as well.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've never played in a league without roster limits, so I don't know how it would play out. It'd be fun to maybe try for a year and see how it goes. I don't think it'd be that big of a deal. But yeah, I agree with you. It should be maybe raised at least by 1 for running back and wide receiver, because I really hate when I'm trying to, if I'm good at RB, I have like right now I have Josh Jacobs and Lindsey and Eckler, and barring injury, I know maybe they're not, clear cut. It's not like I have Dalvin Cook and freaking and Christian McCaffrey and Eckler like you did earlier on, where that was all you needed. But I'm pretty happy with those 3, but I'm really hurting for wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and it's just this carousel. I would rather have more wide receivers rostered so I can play the matchups or whatever.
Right.
So I get you there. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about for improving the league?
That's really all from me. I know you had talked earlier this week about having a pretty, let's say, pretty well timed idea.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to think before I come up with my big reveal if there was anything else. Just minor tweaks. I'm not a huge fan of $1,000 fab. I wish it was $100 or $200. It's not really that big of a deal, but I don't know. It just I feel like it's unnecessarily $1,000. You know what I mean? We don't need that big of a budget. I don't like that there's a minimum $10 bid. I feel like there should be $0 bids, because if you put in a $0 bid, it's basically an advanced free agent claim. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because once waivers runs, you can pick up free agents, no problem. Why can't we just make it $0 so that way you don't have to wake up the next morning and do it? You can just do all your pickups at once instead of having to check there'll be like a defense or something. It's like, well, I want to pick up that D, but I don't want to spend any fab.
Right. You want to be able to stop setting your alarm for like 2 a.m.
Yeah, and I mean,
get up and do it.
With the $1,000 budget, like what's $10? But still, like I've been in league where it's $100, and that $1 does matter.
Right.
So, you know, those $10 when you're, depending on how much you're spending, it could come into play at the end. So that's just something I would like to see. It's just a minor tweak. I can't really think of the other one besides the big one. I mean, I would like it to be 12 teams. I'm pretty sure I have a guy at work that could definitely make it 11. So if we could find it 12, that would be awesome. Maybe we can switch it to a 2 quarterback. Well, I mean, if we get up to 12 teams, I think it's good to have the super flex. But if we keep it at 10, I feel like we almost need to change it to a straight up 2 quarterback league. I mean, it's been really interesting. A lot of people are throwing position players in the offensive position slot and you know, getting some success, but it hasn't been like that in the past. So,
right.
It'll be interesting to see with fantasy in general if that's a trend, but anyway, so those are just kind of my basic thoughts. However, I did have this idea. So it's no secret. I got the baby. I can't get out much. I can't watch movies, but Disney Plus. So
you just watched Endgame?
I just got to watch Endgame. Thank you for picking up where I was going there. And you know, Thanos, Gauntlet, Infinity Stones. I'm like, man, we should have like, and I've also been thinking like we should have some sort of, like, we have the Dirk, but there's only one Dirk, and obviously that's like, you know, what we're going for. Where is the Dirk? Does Sean even have the Dirk?
I think it's at Matt's house.
Fuck.
1T.
That's so rude. What are you doing, Sean? Just like artifacted into your house somehow, and just like give us all deja vu, right? And then we'll remember you getting the trophy, and that's it.
Exactly.
Problem solved. It's not that hard. But anyway, so I'm thinking the Gauntlet. We need a trophy for Pick'ems because I don't know. I feel like it's the next highly touted. And I got thinking. I saw Thanos, and he's collecting all the Infinity Stones, right?
Mm-hmm.
We call all the like off-season things we do the Gauntlet. I'm like, fuck, it's right there. We need a Gauntlet, and then you get an Infinity Stone for each thing you win. You win Pick'ems, you get a stone. You win March Madness, you get a stone. You win whatever other props are, you get a stone. You have the Gauntlet. Whoever has I think, and then there's a stone for winning the Dirk too. That could be the center stone.
Okay.
And maybe whoever has, I mean, I don't know how you do it. Maybe you do like the Pick'ems person. Can you tell this planet? Or how about whoever has the most stones gets to hold the Gauntlet? You know what I mean? And then I'm thinking, like, if you get all the stones at once, like, you'll have the Dirk and you have everything else, and so it could be like a running calendar. So it's not just like, okay, this starts the new season,
right?
When football season ends or whatever. But you know, anyway, if you have all the stones at once, then you're all powerful. I think you should be able to like either change the league rules for the mixer, like unconditionally for a season, or this is even crazier idea, like it's just done. You win. Like the mixer is like, you know, mixer 1.0, that's it. You're done. You take the Dirk.
All right.
And the Gauntlet.
And then
it gets replaced.
I kind of like this.
How fucking sick would that be?
That would be
so sick. I'm like, I came up with this idea in like 5 seconds in my head. I was like, oh.
I mean, that would be kind of cool.
Get on board.
I did have one thought though.
No, it's perfect. The idea is perfect.
It's not about that. It's about Pick'ems.
Oh, okay.
So one thing about Pick'ems,
yeah,
is only like 3 or 4 people actually participate in Pick'ems.
Yeah. Right. But if there's an Infinity Stone that goes with it,
no, I'm not saying
it's the same thing for all the other props.
So I'm not saying get rid of Pick'ems or anything like that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just saying change them a little bit. Okay. So like I tend to not participate in Pick'ems toward the end of the year because I usually win the off-season prop. right? Like, I generally do fairly well in it. But I want to do pick'ems on our fantasy matchups.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And whoever wins that gets to pick a prop as well.
That would be kind of cool. That would be, we'd have to go to like a spreadsheet or something.
Right.
Unfortunately, ESPN does not have the capability yet.
Right. And I don't mind creating that. I'll create that and like keep track of that. I have no problem with that. But I think that would be a lot of fun.
That would be fun. For sure. We'll just have to find room for it on the Gauntlet. You could buy the gloves with the removable stones. I looked it up. They're like,
there you go.
They're like $50. They may or may not sell it at Best Buy. Matt, get on that. So yeah, that's my idea.
I like it.
I think, and the other thing, we should vote on this while we're thinking about it before the end of the season. So, Anthony, I know you got your hands full, but maybe we could throw up some polls, either on the Mixer, the Mixer page on ESPN. It does give you that poll functionality, or we could always do Facebook Messenger polls. So, some ideas for rule changes for next year.
All
right. Let's get into next week's matchups quickly. All right. We'll start off. I'm taking on Anthony. I'm projected for 123. Anthony hasn't filled up his lineup. He's projected for 98.
He's made some changes. I see him projected for 113 in here now.
Okay. So I'm projected to get 25 out of Lamar Jackson, 17 out of Derek Carr, 16 out of Josh Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony's got Prescott for 18, Devontae Adams 17, and Aaron Jones for 13. Who do you see winning this one?
This is tough, right? Anthony's got Mahomes on a bye. He's got Kenyon Drake, who's on a bye as well. He's playing some guys he probably normally doesn't play. You have been trending upwards. Anthony's kind of had a couple down weeks, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I'd actually pick you in this one right now.
Too little, too late. Although I may be playing Anthony, that's my matchup. I'm actually playing Sean. I'm playing Jess. I'm playing Matt. Those are all my opponents. So, I think I'm going to win it as well. It'll be nice to beat Anthony. It always is. But really need the points more than anything. Next matchup, we have you versus Danny, this is all I really care about in this matchup. Over under on when Danny sends out the GGs.
Does he have anyone playing tonight?
Yeah, check. That's your job.
I don't see him with anyone playing Thursday night.
Do you have anybody playing tonight?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
So he'll send out the GGs tonight at 6. Moving on. We got Mason. Well, I guess, what do you think? When do you think he's gonna send it out? 10:30 on Sunday?
Let me see. So, we both have a lot of 10 a.m. games this week.
So definitely.
So he'll probably send it out by 11 at the latest.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good line. By 11. Place your bets. Too bad there's not a mixer prop on that. Next up, we have Mason versus Zach. 7-4 versus 4-7. Mason needs a win. He's in contention for that win, for the bye. He's got Matt Ryan projected at 23, 19 out of Chubb, 17 out of Hopkins tonight. That'll be good. Zach's got Deshaun Watson. He's projected for 23, 18 for Carson Wentz, 16 for Ezekiel Elliott. Right now, I see Mason at 125, Zach at 100, but Zach's got some bench spots or some spots to fill. Who's going to win this one?
Tough, right? Like, Zach has been better on a per-game basis throughout the year, but just a little more unlucky in terms of record.
Mm-hmm.
Mason's team's playing okay. Not a great week last week, but Mason needs the win, and I think he gets that across to his team. I think he pulls this one out.
Yeah, I think Mason wins as well. Puts the pressure on Anthony. He wins this week, Anthony loses to me. Then it's me versus Mason next week. Mason will need to beat me to guarantee it, or scoreboard watch.
Right.
So yeah, for narrative sakes, I think Mason takes this one. Next up, Matt versus Zach. or Matt versus Jake. Sorry. Matt's projected for 115. He's got Brissett going projected for 20. Julio projected at 19. Fournette at 18. Jake has 22 projected at a Michael Thomas. 21 out of Drew Brees. 18 out of Jimmy Garoppolo. Does Matt get to 100 this week?
Yeah, I do, actually. I do think Matt gets to 100.
Does Matt win this week?
To be honest, I don't know. I think Matt might take a 0 tonight. He's got Zach Pascal playing, receiver for the Colts.
Yeah.
He's projected for 8. My personal projection is 1 or less.
He's on my dynasty team. Be careful.
Yeah, that's exactly
reluctantly. Wait, I got Ty too, so I might throw in Ty because he might play.
And then, I do think though that Matt has a great matchup with Derrick Henry playing the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. But overall, I think just the consistency of Jake's team. I think Jake's gonna pull this one out. Although it could be real close.
I think Jake's wins. I think that'll do it for Matt. As far as getting it on record, it really depends on his points. So, better hope he gets over 100. Next up, we have Jess versus Sean. Sean really coming on strong at a really unfortunate time for me. He's projected for 141, projected for 22 out of Jameis, 21 out of Kamara, 19 out of Evans. Jess, she's projected for 23 out of Wilson, 19 out of Aaron Rodgers, 13 out of Ryan Finley. That's on his bench. That's on her bench. So, she's got some spots to fill and a really wide gap to cover here. Sean probably takes this one, but how do you see it, Jeff?
Yeah, Jess hasn't filled out a roster, right? She still has Russ and Aaron Rodgers on the bench. We know that's going to change. She's still got Kelsey and Diggs in there who are both on buys.
Okay.
So that'll definitely change for her, but I just think Sean's team, I like it a decent amount. Kamara's back and looks healthy.
Yeah.
As we all know, I'm a big Jameis fan.
Gurley's looking better.
Yeah. I think Sean wins this one. I think Sean probably puts up 140 as well.
Not what I wanted to hear. I'm not one to wish injury on my opponent, but I'm really tempted to. So, I hold myself to higher standards than those that run the simulation. So, I'm going to try to do it the right way. And by right way, I mean yelling at my TV and then shower crying.
There you go.
By 4:30, most
Nice.
likely. But that's it, unless you got anything else.
That's all.
Accidental horn hark. Air horn. We'll work on that for season 3. We'll up the production value. So that's it, guys. Get ready. Infinity Stone season starts soon. So yeah.
Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, Epstein didn't kill himself. See you guys.